Welcome to FBB Forum. I'm very pleased to welcome the stunning IFBB Pro Women's Physique athlete, Natalie Juron, to the podcast. Natalie recently competed at the Chicago Pro Show, and I thought she brought a tremendous package to the stage there. And she made her pro debut at the Savannah Pro back in 2022 and earned her pro card at the Junior Nationals in 2019. I think Natalie has a very bright future in the sport, so stay tuned to find out where she'll compete next. Welcome, Natalie. It's great to have you here.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
You're welcome. Thank you. So my first few questions are about how you got started in bodybuilding, and I was wondering if you had an athletic or a sports background before you started.
Sure. So I was always pretty athletic and involved in sports in, middle school and high school. I wouldn't consider myself super athletic, but I did like to participate in sports. I was very active. My brother got the sports genes, so I was more so just liked it because I could work out and stay healthy and fit. And then when I got to college, I really took the fitness journey kind of to the next level. So I do have, you consider it a sports background, but I didn't, go to college for sports or anything like that. But it really took off when I got to college.
Really? Did you do any college or what do they call it, student athlete in college?
No, so I got a job at the rec center, and was always into classes, working out, took all the spin classes and all the different, things that they offered for free. And my boss at the time was getting ready for her bikini show.
Oh,
Like, you should try this out. I'm getting ready for a show. You should, consider doing it. She kind of put the bug in my ear. She said, here's my coach's name. Go meet her, see what she says. So I was like, okay. I mean, it had never crossed my mind to do a bodybuilding show or get into that kind of sport, until I was working at the gym. And then I went and met with this coach. And next thing you know, I was signed up for a show. So it
oh,
kind of
wow.
all just happened at once. And I did my first show, and this is cliche to say, but I was hooked. I mean, I did that first show and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Wow. Which division did you start off with?
I started with figure because I
Figure.
had a muscle. I knew I couldn't do bikini. I don't have the bone structure. I don't have the tiny waist. I had pretty, substantial legs and things like that to start out with. So figure was where I started. And then physique wasn't even around for a couple of years. And then physique came out and I transitioned to physique.
Oh, very cool. What year did you start in the figure?
So 2009 is when I started training for my first show. I was like 19 years old. So I was still very young. I guess you consider I'm still kind of young in the sport. I don't know what that's considered, but I'm 34 now. So I've been doing it for 14, 15 years.
Wow.
Feels like a lifetime, but
That's very cool. That's awesome though, that you got that longevity in the sport like that too. Now that's awesome. Now, in terms of I was curious when you first started and even now, do you have a fitness role model that you look up to?
yeah, when I first started, I mean, the sport has evolved and changed in so many ways since I
Yeah.
started. In From the caliber of athletes to just the amount of athletes. I mean, when I first started, it's nowhere near what it is now.
Mhm.
Um, so back in the day, like I used to follow Juliana Marmar. I liked Karina Nascimento. All these names that like they don't compete anymore.
Yeah.
But Juliana was like my idol back in the day. She won the Olympia a couple of times. And I don't know if I have a role model now, to be honest. I mean, I look up to all the girls because it's still hard for me to accept that I'm a pro. Even when I was at Chicago, like I looked at the girls backstage and I was like, I can't believe I'm in this with you girls, So
Really?
uh,
Wow.
I everyone that I see as role models.
That's terrific. Wow. No, that you were definitely worthy of being on that stage. You looked amazing, I think. So yeah, you look great. Um, and I definitely understand that. Juliana Marco, how do you pronounce her last name?
Pardon.
Yeah, she is amazing, and I do remember her, and she had just such an excellent physique, and but her physique now, I don't know if she would do well in in physique because the criteria has changed, or it
Exactly.
seems like it's changed based on what the judges are rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, she was not nearly as lean as some of the competitors are today.
Yeah.
Um, she wasn't as hard. So that just goes to show the evolution of, like you said, what the judges are looking for, just the caliber of people. Not to say that they weren't great in their time, but like you
Mhm.
said, for to compete and step on stage now, I don't know if that's really the look that they're going for.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you. It's definitely changed a lot, I think. And but she was really awesome at the time. Um, I was curious, was it tough for you to get up on stage in a bikini for the first time? Was it kind of nerve-wracking for you, or you're 19, you're kind of young?
Yeah, very young. And I never done anything like this. I mean, to get up in front of people, like I didn't really have stage fright. I can speak in front of people, I can, converse and whatnot. That's not a big deal. Obviously, standing on stage practically naked is a different story. Uh, but I remember going on stage and completely blacking out. Like I don't remember the quarter turns. I don't remember anything. I just know I did what I was supposed to do, but I got off stage and like I was like, I don't remember anything. So I think it
Wow.
was a survival mode thing, but I wasn't nervous. I just was like, okay, this is what we're doing. Like, this is what I've been training for, 12, 13, 14 weeks for. And I don't know, I just did it. It was like, I didn't even think about it. So I was nervous, I'm sure, but a survival mode just kind of kicked in.
Sure, I understand that. Yeah, so you kind of went on autopilot a little bit too.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
That's awesome though. Yeah. I just think do you get nervous on stage these days at all, or do you feel comfortable up there?
So, funny story. For my pro debut, I wasn't really nervous. Chicago last year, wasn't really nervous. This year, I don't know what it was, but I got up on stage and I let my nerves get the best of me. The whole
Hmm.
day, completely fine. I'm like, yeah, this is great. We're ready. Let's do this. And then yeah, I think what happened was I saw the girls that were backstage and I'm just like, dang, like look at their legs. Like I started to let that kind of get into my head,
Hmm.
whereas I've just been focusing on what are you going to do to present yourself to the judges. So I don't normally, like I said, like Chicago last year, I was fine. Savannah, I was fine. I don't know what it was about this year. I let the nerves get the best of me. And that was something I regret,
Hmm.
um, because I could have done a little, I think I could have done better if I hadn't had let those nerves get to me.
Really?
But
Oh, I
yeah,
understand. But
yeah,
so much of bodybuilding is kind of a mental challenge, I think, too, certainly. Yeah. I'm sorry about that though. You felt
oh
that you
yeah,
had those
yeah.
nerves.
I got over it. I'm just like, you know what? Your placing was reasonable with the girls that were in the lineup.
Hmm.
I had some feedback from the judges that said they think I should have placed higher.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. So it is what it is. But I know what I need to do next year. And that's all that I brought my best package, in my opinion. I improved from year to year. And I
Yeah.
what bodybuilding is about. I mean, if you're improving, you should be proud of that. So
I think I had mentioned to you earlier that I did think you should have been placed higher as well, just because I thought you had a really good look. And so in 2023, you got fifth place, I think.
did.
And but then you got 13th this year. Were you kind of surprised by that? That you got
Yes.
dropped down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be surprised.
Hmm.
And I don't know what it was about. Was it the lineup? Because last year there was only like 13 girls. Uh,
Hmm. Yeah.
so, looking at the girls that got first through fourth, I definitely belonged in fifth place.
Hmm.
But you know what? I know who got first through fifth in this Chicago show. I didn't even look to see who got um, I think I know I saw the girl who got seventh, but I haven't even looked to see who got, before me, which I should. Um, I was just, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't like to compare. Like, I don't know what the judge. So I think I should have placed higher, but clearly, the criteria and what they were looking for, I know I need bigger legs. I know that my bottom half needs to be brought up and something that we are consistently working on. So I
Yeah.
know that probably something I got knocked for, which is fine. I know what I know the areas I need to improve on. So
Okay. Yeah. I was surprised though. Yeah, I did feel like you should have been placed higher, at least in top 10, I think, in this show. So
that's
yeah.
what I think top 10 would have been much more representative of where I should have placed.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah. Um, Having said that, though, what was your experience like at Chicago Pro? What was it like backstage, and did you enjoy the show?
I love the Chicago Pro Show. I love the Tim Gardner productions. I think his shows are impeccably ran. I
Yeah.
mean, I cannot say enough good things about just the way that his shows are like, because like I said, I did it last year and I was like, if I do no other show, I will come back to this one because of the way that it's ran.
Good.
So the stat, like the people that are the expediters backstage, so nice. The tanning staff, like everything about it was phenomenal. The only thing
Mm.
I would say is they changed the way that the backstage area was. So last year we just had kind of like one area that you could park yourself, put your bags, sit down, and then when it was your time to be called, you would get your glaze and then go line up.
Mhm.
Um, this year there was a little bit of different setup, and I don't know why. Maybe it was because it was at a different location, probably.
Yeah, that's true. It wasn't at Tinley Park like usual.
I wish they would go back to Tinley Park because, like I said, I liked that venue. I liked that we didn't have to kind of go from like room to room.
Yeah.
Um, but having said that, I got like to the expo center, like where we were supposed to meet, and then like 10 minutes later they're like, all right, line up, like get your glaze on and we're going on stage. So it was like quick, quick, quick. So there
Oh, yeah.
was a lot of downtime, which was great because we were on stage, we did our thing, and then we were done.
Okay. Yeah.
Like about it, because his productions are like boom, 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 let's stick to the schedule. Same thing with the night show, starting at 3 o'clock, you're out of there. I was done because I didn't have to do my routine. I literally was done at like 3:30 or something, and I could go eat and I could go relax and be done.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
I hate the shows where it's like you're just hurry up and wait, because
Yeah.
wait 16 weeks. The last thing you want to do is more waiting.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, that would be frustrating. And
Yeah.
Tim, he's got, Tampa Pro coming up this week, which I'll be going to, but he puts on a really good show, even from a fan perspective and audience perspective, I think. And yeah, the worst is when I think a promoter changes the schedule at the last minute and
Ugh.
puts the NPC people on first when it's supposed to be IFBB people first. And it's just like, yeah, and I can't imagine like how frustrating that would be, especially when you're trying to peak and stuff, and you're like, oh, what's
Yeah,
happening?
and then you're done your thing and you're just like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's also more time away from a meal too. You're like, I want to eat.
That's really, at the end of the day, that's all you can think about. It's like, yeah, I want to go up on stage, I want to get my award or whatever. But then it's like, okay, when are we eating?
I totally understand that. Yeah, I think that would be the hardest part of bodybuilding, in my opinion, is the food and the lack of beer and stuff. I need my beer.
The diet is definitely the hardest part. Yes.
Oh man. Was there kind of a good Iron Sisterhood there with backstage though, would you say?
Yeah, everyone's super friendly. We're all in the same position. It's it wasn't like a lot of people were kind of just keeping to themselves. I mean, there was some chit chat and oh hey, how are you? And oh, I saw you last weekend and like that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but I think because I'm a little bit just newer, I didn't know a lot of the girls.
Yeah.
Um, but if you were to go up and talk to somebody, I mean, they would engage you in conversation. Like, I meet people. I met this one girl, started following her on Instagram. So there is that camaraderie, and just hey, we're in this together kind of thing. So yeah, I would say that the sisterhood backstage was pretty strong.
That's good. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've heard it varies sometimes from show to show. I think sometimes people do stick to themselves a little bit, maybe too much, and because they're just so focused and stuff. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think you can make it and be as engaged as you want. You can sit there with your headphones on and be completely, blinders on, or you can be bouncing around, talking to people. If you brought something to eat, you could share it. I've seen that kind of stuff. Like, oh, I made these cookies or whatever. Or you don't have to. And no one's going to judge you either way. So
yeah,
you're doing your thing, you're doing your thing. If you want to talk and take pictures, that's cool too. So I do like that because it's like, you don't feel forced to be in any situation. You can choose, how engaged you are.
yeah. I got you. I understand that. Yeah, it makes sense. That's kind of nice too, to have that option about how engaged you want to be.
Yep.
Um, Now, I did one thing I noticed. It looks like you usually do like one show per year, but are you going to compete again this year too, or no?
We were gonna do the Tampa show.
Yeah,
When I say we, my coach and I, that was the plan last year too. We were like, all right, we're because they're 2 weeks apart, 3 weeks apart, easy
yeah.
peasy. We can get down to Tampa pretty easy. I even had a hotel room booked both years. Um, and but my coach and I said if I didn't make at least top three, because I guess we could have swung if I made top five doing it. But the fact that I didn't place where I wanted and where we thought we were going to place,
Hmm.
said let's shut it down. Because
Hmm.
and after seeing that list you just posted, I'm actually really glad I'm not doing it because I probably got my ass handed to me.
Yeah,
Maybe not, I don't know, but I think that not worth the money and the travel and everything else that comes with show prep if I know what I need to improve upon and I put myself in that situation where I get 13th, 14th, last place. Like, why do that? I already know what I need to work on. So I'm just going to shut it down and work on it.
yeah. I understand that. No, that totally makes sense.
There is the argument to be made, well, you get your face out in front of the judges. Okay, I get that. That is definitely something that I would like to do more of, but we did say for sure next year we're doing both. We're at least doing two shows. So
Okay, that's terrific. No, I think that's good. I did have in my question list. I hope you'll compete in Tampa. So no, but I'm sorry to miss you though. Maybe I'll get to see you next year. Maybe.
FOMO. I coach, I said, is it bad that I really want to do this show? He's like, no. He goes, because I wanted to too. So I'm really,
No,
but
there's no shame in that, and I totally understand where you're coming from too. So no, and yeah, you'll have more time to make improvements and everything too for next year. So that'll be good.
if I do the Chicago show, prep starts in like April. So I really only have, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. I got to make the most of the time that I have to make the improvements that I need to be able to do the Chicago and the Tampa next year. So,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. And no, I think it'll be good for you next year. And just the more you're in front of the judges too, the more they're going to remember you and kind of get your name out there too. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Um, in terms of well, I think that Chicago was your highest placing, right, for your pro shows?
Yep. Fifth.
Fifth from last year. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. But really, I've only done three. And it seems like I've done a lot more because you're prepping for, at least half the year. So that's a year and a half that, like, you know, has gone to prep. Um, but yeah, it seems like I've done a lot more, but three in reality, some of these women have done like, 40 shows. I don't know, crazy amounts of shows. They do like three or four a year, and it's like, I can't even do two, let alone like,
I think doing 3 or 4 a year would be really tough, actually. That's
I
tough
don't,
on the body and your mind too. Yeah.
and your wallet. I mean, this shit's not cheap, excuse my French, but this is
Oh,
the most expensive thing, a hobby, passion, whatever you want to call it, ever.
I know it's not cheap at all. It is. It's very expensive, and yeah, that makes it a lot tougher too in the travel and the and everything. And yeah, tan and makeup and hair and everything. So yeah, I know it's very expensive.
Oh.
Um, Now we talked about you earned your pro card at the 2019 Junior Nationals, and I thought you looked really amazing there. But what was that like to earn your pro card after you'd been competing for a few years?
I don't think, even thinking about it now, just I get the chills. I mean, it was the most incredible experience of my life. I mean, I had been doing bodybuilding at that time for 10 plus years. So going to nationals, going to junior nationals, going to junior USAs, trying for so many years to get my pro card. And then I'll never forget the feeling when Sandy Williamson moved me into the middle and there was a star on the center, like in the middle. And I looked down, I was like, oh my God, I'm in the center right now. I almost lost it. I had to keep it together because we were still posing.
Uh-huh.
The second stage, I found my coach and just exploded. I mean, it was the most incredible feeling ever
That's awesome. Wow.
playing it.
I bet it was. It must have been amazing for you. I bet. Yeah. Was that a
Because
pretty,
you could only earn your pro card if you got if you won. So
oh yeah.
them are top two. But this one was particularly rewarding because I got first place in my division or in my class.
Oh
So that's
yeah.
been sweeter because not to say second place isn't, whatever, but you only got your pro card if you were in the center. So,
What was it, a big class?
um, I think it was a decent sized class. I don't think it was that big. I'd have to go back and look at pictures. I think it was at least double digits, maybe
Yeah.
in something like that. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive it was a pretty decent lineup.
I know it was pre-COVID too, so probably bigger turnout too in that regard, I bet. Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah. You look great in when you won your pro card for sure. And so you basically competed for 10 years before you got the pro card. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like, am I ever going to win? Am I ever going to achieve this goal?
Hmm.
Um, you just have to, it's all about time and place. I mean, and who shows up. Unfortunately, that's the name of the game. Like I got 13th at this show because of who showed up. I mean, if half those girls didn't show up, I probably would have placed second or third. You know what I mean? It's just like it's
Yeah.
never know. It's not like you go to a sporting event and you know the other team. You don't know the other team that you're competing against. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
another element of difficulty to the sport because people can drop out, people can add. I mean, I could have registered for the Tampa Pro Monday.
Hmm.
So, I know they come out with competitor lists, but I don't know. So,
Yeah, that's true. But as a competitor, you don't know until the list comes out who your competition is, and that's always the Monday before the show. So yeah, it's not
that
a lot of
too, like you're a week away from stepping on stage. You can't really make that many changes.
yeah, that's true. So yeah, you're right. That's just too fast. So yeah. That is kind of interesting, huh?
It is. It's a very interesting sport. Lots of elements to it.
I was curious if you've ever considered moving to women's bodybuilding division.
I don't think I will, just because looking at the women bodybuilding competitors, I mean, I idolize them. I think that I'm so glad that that category has survived and made a revival. Because let's face it, that was the only thing around back in the day. I mean, it
Yeah,
was so. I think we owe it to the sport and to the women that started this to keep it around.
yeah, I agree.
Especially because if you get rid of bodybuilding, women's bodybuilding, what's the differentiating factor between a physique competitor and a bodybuilder? You start to blur the line, and
Yeah,
the women physique competitors start looking like bodybuilders. So it's like you got that. category so that you can keep the I don't know, you can just keep the difference between the two. You can't get rid of something and then I don't know. So I don't think I will go into women's bodybuilding. I don't I like the physique, just the posing, a little bit more feminine, keeping your femininity. And I don't think I could add that much muscle. I just don't. I mean, yeah, I think it would be difficult. I think I would struggle if I were to go. I know that one of the feedback I got was like, your back is practically like a women's bodybuilder. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, I appreciate that. I really do. But look at some of these women bodybuilders. Like, I don't think I'm at that caliber yet.
Sure. Yeah,
If
I
it,
understand.
legs aren't nearly what a woman's bodybuilder needs to have. So I'll
Sure.
physique.
That's cool. No, I think that's good. And yeah, you definitely fit in well in physique for sure. I was pleased that Sherry Priami ended up winning their Chicago women's bodybuilding, and she looked phenomenal. It's like, geez.
That, oh my gosh, like that is the epitome of, she's so pretty to start out with.
Yeah.
Um, everything that, yeah, it was great. I was really happy to see her win.
Yeah, she's getting back to the Olympia too, so I was really pleased for her. Yeah. I was just curious if there's any advice that you could provide to ladies who are seeking to earn their pro card, and I know it takes a lot of hard work and dedication, but any tips, any advice you could provide?
Um, don't get discouraged. It's easy to do. It's like you go to your shows, you get fifth, sixth, maybe you miss it by one spot, but just keep working at it. This sport isn't about instant gratification. And I think a lot of people these days are tending to think that's what it is.
Hmm.
If you want to do this for a long time, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
Uh, but you have to put the work in. And I don't, it's I don't appreciate the people that think like, oh, I'm just going to do a show and then I'm going to turn pro. It's like, wait a minute, I've been doing this for 10 plus years, and no, like you got to do the work. So
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
just put your head down, do the work. It's going to be difficult. It's not an easy thing, but if you have the determination and the will and the drive, you can make it happen. And you just got to um, just find out what works for you. But I would say don't give up and don't get discouraged.
Okay. That's good advice, I think. Yeah. And it's good that you stuck with it, because you did, ultimately get your pro card and have been, showing up and doing well, in the pro leagues too. So I think that's good. That's good advice.
Thanks.
Um, I was curious, do you have a prep coach or opposing coach that you're working with?
I couldn't do it without my coach. He is my rock. His name is Sean Nutter, and he has a company, Fusion Training Systems. He's on Instagram. You can find his website. He's phenomenal. And I'm not just saying that. Uh, I've been with top level coaches. I won't name names. I've been with, you name it. I've been with people that are no names, and Sean is just, the thing that I think separates him from other prep coaches that I've had is it's all individualized. There's
Oh,
no better plans.
okay.
He looks at you and he individualizes your plans for your body and your goals.
Good.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's one of the biggest things that put me to that next level, because every other prep coach that I worked with was just like, well, this is what I do, so you should do it. And it's like, okay, first of all, I'm not a guy. And you're 50 and I'm 20. So, it just,
Mm.
yeah. I don't have a posing coach. He does everything. So kind of one-stop shop, training, nutrition, posing, um, all in one person.
That's terrific. Sounds like a really good guy.
He's very good. And he's been doing this for 20 plus years. He's a professional power lifter. So he's been in the sport. He's competed in bodybuilding. So he doesn't just talk the talk, but he walks the walk. And that's something else I can appreciate, because he's been on the diet. He knows what the training's like. He knows what it takes to get up on stage, and put the work in to, achieve your goals. So
How long have you worked with him?
we started working together in 2016.
Mm.
Halfway through a prep with another coach, wasn't going well. And we trained at the same gym. And I had kind of seen him around, and I was just like, I think he's a trainer. Like, I saw him training other people. And I'm like, I got to give this guy a call because I've got 8 weeks and I'm nowhere near ready to step on stage.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay.
and so called him up one day. We talked. He's like, yep, let's do it. You got your show in 8 weeks. Didn't even bat an eye. It was just like, yeah, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And I was just like,
Mm.
oh, like, it was just so refreshing. And then, so 2016, we did like 2 or 3 like regional shows. We did a national show. And then the next year, we won my pro card. So we were, 3 years, which actually 2.5. And then I got my pro card. So,
Wow, that's great.
and
I'll make sure to include his Instagram down in the comment section too, if people want to look him up, because he sounds like that's good advertising for him, I think.
I told him I'd give him a shout out, and I'm being genuine because I know that, people can be misled by coaches like I was. And that's another thing. I don't want to see other women or men be misled because you can waste a lot of time. I wasted 9 years by being with the wrong coach,
Mm.
so if you find a coach, and Sean may not be for everybody, and that's fine, but if you can get in with a coach that you trust, and you can, find out what works for you, that is a game changer.
Yeah, that's true. That's good. That's good advice, actually. I like that. That's really good advice for folks that are listening to the podcast here. So yeah. I was curious, what would you say is the most challenging aspect of prep for you?
So I don't know if it was bodybuilding I think I was this way prior to bodybuilding, but I think bodybuilding enhanced this. But I am a foodie at heart. I've actually always worked in the food industry. So whether I was a server, whether I was back in the kitchen, I mean, I've done it all my background is food and beverage industry.
Okay.
Um, so I love to cook. I love to bake. I love to eat. I love to eat. And I would be 300 pounds if it wasn't for bodybuilding because I just love trying new foods. I love going to new restaurants. I mean, you name it, I'm down. If there's food there, let's go. So the diet would probably be, I wouldn't say the hardest part, but I can let my mind kind of like get the best of me when it comes to cravings. Looking at Instagram, watching Food Network on TV, like that kind of stuff gets me in trouble because then I make myself hungry and then
Mhm.
I add and then I have some celery and calm myself down. So I think that just being having that additional passion of mine of being, like to cook and like to bake and stuff like that, can make the diet a little bit harder.
I bet. Yeah, I bet it is. It seems like the bodybuilding diet is really monotonous too, just like that would drive me a little crazy, I think.
Yeah, it can get boring. You have to get really creative with your spices and your condiments and different types of mustard and salsa and stuff like that. So
Yes, I've heard that before too. Yeah. That's tough though. I admire y'all for doing it.
it's, I mean, like I said, food will always be there. So I kind of put that aside. If I want that donut, I know it'll be there when I can have it. But if you are true to your goals and you know what you want, um, you can say to yourself, I can have that. I just can't have it right now. So you do that kind of bargaining with yourself, like, because your goals are more important. So
Yeah, that's true. That's mental toughness too, to be able to pull that off. But if you're driving down the road and you see Krispy Kreme has the hot donut sign up, you're like,
uh
that's
yeah,
terrible.
I
Oh man.
during one of my preps, I worked at a donut shop. I think I'm a glutton for punishment or something, but I
Oh,
sensitized me to the fact that like I was always around them, and then I started smelling like the grease, and I'm like, it didn't really even sound appetizing at some point. Um, uh,
That's tasty stuff though, but yeah. Even I don't even eat donuts that much. I know it's not good for you. Um, I was curious, what would you say is your favorite body part on your physique and your least favorite? And I thought, I told you I thought you looked great with the abs and thigh pose, but you said you didn't think you looked that great with it.
that was yeah, that's a pose that I struggled with for years. It's gotten better, like I told you. The shot you sent, it actually looked pretty decent. This
Yeah.
the most the best that I've liked that pose. But as far as what body part that I like the best, probably training back. I think I put back and shoulders. I don't know how I don't know. I've been able to grow my back pretty well. If
Mhm.
I self, I do like training shoulders a lot. I do not like legs. I absolutely detest doing legs, and it shows because they're my weakest body part. But for the
Mhm.
light, I mean, I cannot get them to grow. Like I don't like I train them, like I train them hard, at least what I think is hard. So I'm not loafing it when it comes to leg day because I don't like it, because I know that these need to grow. It's the worst body part in my opinion.
Yeah, I understand. That could be a genetic thing too. Just, it's tougher to grow legs for you, maybe.
I think that has a lot to do with it, is genetics, because like I said, I train every body part equally the same, intensity. I think it's just, some girls have, just the way your legs are shaped, your muscles are shaped and things like that. I just have to work against my genetics, unfortunately.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, that's I know that's something Sherry Kriame had talked about, that her upper body is so dominant, but she's had to work really hard to get her legs up to balance, and be more up and down symmetrical. So I think that is tough for a lot of ladies. Yeah,
Because women hold, more weight and more fat in their legs. So we're just proportioned differently, some of us.
that's
But yeah,
true.
it's definitely going to be a focus, for this off season, as it is always, but I think even more so this off season.
Yeah, I understand. I want to double check with you on time. It's like 6:15 now. Could you go for a few more questions, or
Yep.
are you sure?
Yep. Oh yeah.
I don't want to keep you too long. Now you mentioned before we started the call that you have you do have a full-time job outside of bodybuilding, and where do you work now?
Yep. So I do work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, punch that clock, unfortunately, but it pays the bills, and bodybuilding is expensive. So
Yeah.
I'm a manager for a third party administrator that does FMLA and disability. So we're contracted by different companies. They call us and we manage their employees' time out of work. So
Oh,
I did
very.
for it. It's not something I ever saw myself doing, but I really truly enjoy it. And I like the company I work for. So
That's great. How long have you worked there?
going on, let's see, I'm finishing up my 6th year. So going on 7.
Oh, very cool. And you said you get to work remotely from home, which is that's always a big plus actually, because you don't have to worry about the commute to, fighting traffic and just office politics maybe.
Definitely. And that was something, I was in the office pre-COVID. And then COVID hit, and I was already working like half and half from home, half in the office. And then COVID hit, and they said, we're sending everybody home. I'm like, sweet, I already kind of work from home. And then everyone loved working from home so much that they didn't want to come back to the office when COVID kind of calmed down,
Mm,
changed their policy, and we only have to go in once a week. Um,
nice,
so
nice.
because yeah, everyone was like either going to quit and go find another job because other places were still working remote.
Yeah.
Um, they definitely changed their structure after COVID, so that was nice.
I think a lot of companies have done that, and I've worked remotely for like 12 years now, so I'm totally spoiled by it. So it is.
I couldn't imagine doing it. Like, I don't know how I went into the office every single day, waking up, getting dressed, like looking like a normal human being. I mean, like this is what I wore working today because no one sees me. And, you know, I can come into the kitchen, prep my food. It's just so much nicer.
But then you miss out on the office gossip and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, I don't
No.
crap.
Oh man. I was curious, do you have a husband or a boyfriend?
I have a boyfriend. I do keep it pretty on the, you know, low key, down low. But yes,
Sure.
I do. Um, and he's amazing. I mean, it's tough for significant others to, um, you know, yes, he's into working out and stuff like that, but he doesn't compete.
Okay.
So, uh, he has competed before, but it's, you know, it's just tough when you've got one person doing prep, the other person can eat pizza whenever they want, you know. um he does that because he knows, he's very respectful when it comes to that, but it's still
Yeah.
tough. You I get grumpy and tired and sad, and you know, he deals with it. So
Yeah. I bet that would be tough though. But I think that having two competitors prepping at the same time would be even worse because you're just
great.
like hungry and angry and just like
Yeah, you need,
depleted.
and their brain is functioning correctly, and then the other person, you know, is out in la la land and can bring them back into the real world. uh, yeah, so he's my rock, definitely.
That's great. Yeah, it's good to have somebody supporting you like that. I was curious, do you have any kids?
No kids. Unfortunately, bodybuilding has kind of paused that.
Yeah.
But definitely would like to have a family in the future. And you know, I think that that's possible. I'd like to do a couple more shows.
Okay.
So it might not happen for a couple of years, but yeah, I'd like to see that down the road.
That's great. Yeah. I know a bodybuilder, Kayla Murphy, who just basically got married and is now planning on having kids, but maybe return to bodybuilding eventually. But no, I think there's a lot of ladies that feel that way, that eventually they'd like to have kids, and but you have to take a pause from the sport, of course, kind
See,
of
that's,
necessary.
and I was gonna take a pause after this Chicago show, but then we were like, maybe this isn't the right time to do this, you know? So
Mm,
um it's hard, because I think to myself, geez, if I take, you know, even a year off from competing, because obviously you can't train and do the things you do while you're pregnant. So, you know, you have your baby, then you want to spend time with your baby. What's that, 2 years? I mean, 2, 3 years, I don't know, you know. So it's just, that is something that I think would really require mental toughness. You know, you talk about mental toughness being in prep, but the same can be said for completely going the opposite way with the lifestyle that you had. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And
Uh-huh.
doing, been doing for 15 years, and then all of a sudden you're not doing that anymore. You know, you're not going heavy in the gym, you're not competing, you know. But I get priorities change, and you know, they say having a baby just changes everything. So maybe you forget about bodybuilding, you're like, okay, I'm done, you know, like my kid's more important. I guess it's just gonna, we're gonna have to see, you know, when the time comes. So
Sure. No, I think it would be tough. That would be a really tough transition, I bet.
I
Yeah.
thought, yeah, I think it would be a mental, I don't know, I just think it would be really tough.
But even like having a distended belly because you got a baby in there, I mean, that would be tough too, I would think,
Whole
just
body, like, you don't lines anymore, you know, you're just like, you feel like you're whale, beached whale. So it's like, I don't know.
I totally understand. Oh man.
So
Now, I know you live in Columbus, Ohio, and I was curious, do you find that area is good for bodybuilders? I know, with Haley Perry and Katie Younger live there, and it's the home of the Arnold Classic. So you'd think it would be good for bodybuilding, but what do you think about it there?
you know, like I had mentioned earlier, it's I don't see those, you know, Haley or Katie out. And it could be because maybe they, you know, I know Haley lives kind of like north of me, so she wouldn't be around my area most of the time.
Yeah.
I think you'd see more people like bodybuilders, you know, or just more like in shape, fit people. But you honestly don't.
Hmm.
Um, a little disheartening because, you know, I'll go to the grocery store and I get funny looks, and it's like, I just work out. Like I don't know. You know, it's I don't think it's that odd. I mean, I know that like I don't look like everybody else, but you would think that, like you said, being the home of the Arnold, like, I don't know, people would just not even think twice, seeing somebody look like me.
Yeah.
But also I do get comments like, "Oh, do you compete in the Arnold?" So people know about the sport and they're privy to what goes on.
Yeah.
Um, as far as it being good for bodybuilding, yes, because I think the Arnold has put us on the map. If it
Yeah.
weren't for, though, I don't think it would be very bodybuilding friendly. I could be wrong. I don't know. We've got a
Hmm.
lot of gyms. We have, a very vibrant, young scene. There's lots of young people that live here,
Hmm.
lots of families. So it's great in that aspect. There's always something going on. So it's a very vibrant and like busy town. Um, I don't know if I would, like I said, if the Arnold wasn't here, maybe it wouldn't be so um bodybuilding recognizable, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. I'm kind of irritated with the Arnold for dropping some of the classes too, like, women's physique, like what the heck, man?
Yeah, I was very disappointed. I didn't go to the expo for several years because of that. I just went last year, and I don't see myself going this year, or this coming year. It's like no one's there that I like. The
Hmm.
girl that I would want to see. So it's a bunch. Literally, it was a bunch of dudes walking around. I mean, there was hardly any girls, and I was
Really?
like, yeah, like the only
Wow.
reason I went is because my coach had somebody in the weightlifting competition, so I went and I supported them.
Okay.
Um, but like the people in the expo walking around, there was hardly any girls.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting. Wow. I
yeah, so,
I guess that makes sense where they eliminated a lot of the women's, divisions there. But yet
yeah.
they got like slap fighting going on, What the heck? Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't like that they cut back so much on what's really important with the Arnold should be bodybuilding and the
The
women's divisions.
main that put it on the map was, yeah. So I don't get that.
Oh man. I just have like three more questions. Are you good for that? Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. You talked about it a little bit just now, but do you ever find yourself to be a target of like fit shaming? Because I always find that that's weird that you guys even have to deal with that. Y'all should be kind of praised for your hard work and sacrifice, but then, just some nasty trolls out there too.
Yeah, yeah, there's some weirdos. Um, Luckily, I haven't been, I guess, to my knowledge, fit shamed. It could be going on behind my back. People could come across my page and see my photos and think, who is this, he, she thing, or whatever they want to say. But luckily, like to my face, I've never been disrespected like that. Um, Thankfully. I mean, I can't imagine, you work so hard and then to have somebody come and say those kind of nasty things to you. Um, I do, like I said, I do get some weird looks. I do get, if I'm out at the grocery store or something like that. But I think more often times than not, I get compliments. People recognizing, like the cashier, she'll say, "Oh my gosh, your arms are so great," and I just kind of chuckle to myself, and it makes me smile, and I just say thank you. So, but I think luckily I've just get more recognition for the hard work because they see it. They know, they're not stupid. They know that my body is something that I've worked very hard to achieve.
Yeah.
So luckily, like, like I said, the cashier at the grocery store will just compliment me or something like that. So unfortunately, I know there are girls that go through that. And it's very sad. I couldn't imagine that because I'm not shaming somebody for what they're into. So just because we have an outward, um, it's obvious by the way that we look. That's, I think, how we get that target because somebody could be into some really weird shit and I don't know because it's not something, it's not an outward thing. So unfortunately,
Yeah. No, I understand that. And yeah, it is weird that and I think it does hit some of the ladies really hard, when they're just dealing with a lot of hate. So So it's good to balance that out, I think, with some positive feedback, on social media for the ladies too, or and block and delete is your friend too. You can
Oh
block
my
and
God.
delete these trolls.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Unfortunately, like my page is public, whether that's, good or bad. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place because you want to get recognized, you want to get your face out there, and if your profile's private, that's kind of hard to do. So
Yeah.
I do wrestle with that because you get those weirdos that leave comments that, I don't even know you, and I'm just like, delete, block, go away. Twice about it because I'm like, I don't know you from Adam, nor do I care. And I don't invite that stuff. As soon as I see it, I shut it down.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a good idea.
yeah, and I think advice for other girls, just don't let that snowball. If you see something weird or you're not comfortable with it, like you said, block and delete is your friend.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's good advice, definitely. Um, Now, do you ever find it hard to deal with demands of social media? And I was surprised you don't have more followers than IG, honestly. I'm hoping that I'll give you a little boost here.
Yeah. It's well, like I was talking about, keeping my page public or private. And I'm a very private person. So doing something like this is a first for me. I've never done a podcast before. I'm super honored. I think I'm jazzed about it.
Thank you.
But I don't I'm not very outwardly what's the word, outgoing on social media. Like I don't like the posts that I make don't get a lot of views, and I'm okay with that. I just I do it for me. I do it so that I can look back to see, okay, what did I look like last year? I can have like a record of my progression. I don't do it for likes. I don't do it for followers. Would I like to have more? Sure, but that also invites more issues, more problems. I want to be followed by the people that matter. I want the coach or the judges to see me. I want people like you, Dan Ray, like that kind of stuff. I don't want attention from someone who's got one picture up on their page and it's just weirdos like that. So
Yeah,
um
I understand.
I'm not very good with social media. I'll be honest. I don't post every day. I don't follow myself around with a camera. This is what I'm eating, this is what I'm doing. I'm a very private person. So I think that has affected my oh, what's the word? Just getting my name out there because I'm not,
Yeah, I understand.
you know,
Hmm. No, I totally understand that. And I think it's good though to kind of keep some privacy too. And yeah, you're not going to be one of those people that's, those people are always offering to um buy you 50,000 followers or something like that, and they're all bots or fake accounts or whatever.
yeah. I half the time I look at some of these people's profile, I'm like, you do not have that many followers. Get over yourself. I mean, geez. And then I
Yeah.
like the likes that they have on some of their pictures, like, you know, 2,000 likes, like that's not real. That's not real life. Like I don't even know 100 people, let alone 2,000 people.
Yeah, some of it's really sketchy and yeah,
It's
it
very
is.
deceiving. And for someone that's coming up in the sport, you're like, well, why don't I have 2,000 followers, or why don't I have this many likes? It's like, this isn't what that sport's about. This sport is not about that. Back in
Yeah.
our day, back in even when Juliana Marmar was coming up, we didn't have this crap, and they did just fine.
Hmm.
Oh, so I don't think you need. Unfortunately, that could have changed. Like, I don't think you need social media to be successful in this sport. I could be wrong. Maybe, like I said, times have changed. It's unfortunate if you do need social media because, again, that's not what this sport is about.
Yeah.
So uh, I think people place too high a value on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever. That's why I don't really care. I don't care if I post every day or every other day or every week because
Mhm.
I'm just doing my own thing.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And that's a good point too, that it has kind of changed a lot since even 10 years ago, especially with Instagram. It's just so and yeah, that's not, not necessarily a good thing at all,
Oh, it's a good
no.
thing. at all. I think that's where, like I talked about earlier, the instant gratification. It's like you see some of these people's pictures, they could be 2 years old. How do I know that's what that girl really looks like? You know,
Yeah.
so there's so much fake lies out there that you just cannot believe anything that anybody posts. I mean, and that's why I try to, if I'm going to post something, I'm going to try to be transparent about it. Like I just made a post the other day and that was 2 weeks, that was a week prior to the show. I don't look like that right now. And I'm okay to, that's fine. I'm okay to say that. I don't
Yeah.
need to end that I'm still that lean because I'm not. And I don't want to give the false impression to women that think, oh, you can say this lean all year round.
No, that's not
No,
healthy.
not. So yeah, it's unfortunate that there's just so much fake lies out there when it comes to this sport. It
Yeah,
ruins it in a sense, you know?
I understand. That's why it should be anti-social media. Ah, see. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I just have one more question for you. I was just curious if did you ever watch bodybuilding on TV back in the day? I know you're relatively young compared to me, but I remember when it was on ESPN and Fox News and or Fox Sports and NBC. But so if cornhole and hot dog eating contests can be on TV on ESPN, why can't we get bodybuilding on too? How do we do that?
That would be crazy. I've heard people talk about it being on TV, and I wish I was around and into the sport when it was, because I think that would just be so cool, and it would bring a lot of recognition to the sport that I think is missing. It's although that could also open a can of worms. Like it could bring unwanted attention if it's back on TV.
Yeah,
Because people are always going to talk about, oh, they're all on steroids, they're all doing drugs. So it's like, okay, but does that take away from what they're doing? So I think it might bring some unwanted attention.
yeah,
Would I
that's a good point.
prefer? But I also like that it used to be, it's not so much anymore, but kind of like a secret society. Like it's we're kind of like our own little world in the bodybuilding community.
Yeah,
And I like being part of something that's not mainstream and not everybody can do or should do or want to do.
yeah.
Uh, so I do kind of like that aspect of it.
Yeah, it is. It's very much a niche kind of sport too. And but one thing I did like about I felt like bodybuilding was always kind of a niche sport, but the nice thing about having it on TV is it introduced a lot of people to the sport too. And
Mm,
and a lot of people were motivated to see, the bodybuilders on TV. So that's where I can see it being really valuable to come back is
mm.
to try to introduce people and promote, healthy living and eating right and that kind of thing too. So
That's
um,
true. If it's used in the proper way, I think it definitely could benefit the sport and benefit society as a whole. Because yeah, maybe someone looks at that and thinks, well, I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to get off the couch and go walk a mile, or
mhm.
like that. Like I'm going to eventually, lose this 5 pounds or 10 pounds or whatever. So yeah, that is a good point. I do.
Yeah, I think it's inspiring for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So is there anybody you'd like to shout out before we wrap up?
No, I just want to say thank you to you, first of all. This has been incredible. Like I said, I've been bragging to everybody.
Thank
Um,
you.
my family, my brother, sister-in-law, my parents, they've just supported me through thick and thin. And they don't, my parents don't really know much about, I mean, they know the sport, but um, they're just like, sure, we'll do what you need me, do what you need us to do, cook what you need us to cook you. And they've just been always really supportive. And then last but not least, but my coach. I mean, I know I said this earlier, but he's phenomenal. And if anybody is in need of a coach, if you just want consultation, he's phenomenal. So
That's great. Yeah, he sounds like a great guy. And like I said, I'll definitely mention him at the bottom too, in the comments. But thank you so much. And thank you for your nice comments too. Really appreciate it and appreciate the opportunity to speak with you because I've been following you for a while. So I was really
well,
pleased to
that's
yeah,
very, this was an honor. I had a blast. I'm so honored. Thank you.
thank you. No, I appreciate that. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Well, yeah, definitely. I'll get this posted soon and keep you posted once I get it up and tag you. But I'll get later this evening for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And have fun at Tampa.
Thank
I can't
you.
pictures. I can't wait to see some interviews. So,
Thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping to get some in-person interviews for sure, and been in touch with some of the ladies. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
oh, cool. Good.
Thank you.
All right, Dave. Take care. Have a good night.
Thanks.